What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast, celebrating season 8 and 7 years of podcasting. More on that in a minute. I am your host, Steve V. This is episode 575, alongside Jeremy Ross Lopez. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm really good. How are you?
Really good, thank you. And my final night in Portugal, Lisbon, actually. Tell you a little bit more in a minute. Of course, joining us is Kodi, Maurice, Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. How are y'all doing? It's so good to hear your voices.
Likewise.
Yes, exactly. Very good. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Like I said, it's my final day. I've been away for almost 2.5 weeks in Spain and Portugal. By the way, Lisbon is amazing. It's just so charming. They have a Golden Gate Bridge that they copied. The same architect did the one in San Francisco, did the one here in Portugal. There
Wow.
is, yeah, I know, it's crazy. It kind of reminds me sometimes of San Francisco because they have trolley cars. There's highs and lows of the city, so parts of it are on hills. If you like walking and climbing upstairs, this is your city. Excellent food. The people are wonderful. I just love it so much. It's such a exciting city to be a part of. So yes, on that. Yesterday was Father's Day, or as the guy I'm seeing called it, Happy Daddy's Day. And I said, "Am I your daddy?" In which he said, "Yes, daddy." So I said, "Okay, I can be that." Was happy to hear about that. Folsom East was back in New York City on 27th Street, which looked amazing, totally filled. Kodi, did you go?
I did not go, but from what I hear and what I saw, it looked amazing. 27th Street is always a good time as far as that area is concerned. And I just know that it was packed and it was wild. So I got to definitely go. We have to go next year.
Exactly. And in other exciting news, the Tonys were last night. And I know a lot of people, listeners, love to come to New York. And some great wins, I have to say, including things like the best musical, which I'm going to go take my sister, The Outsiders. It's based on that iconic book, The Outsiders, and the film back in the day. Any of you remember that? Also, who won was Sarah Paulson. I saw her in Appropriate, and she won for Best Actress, as well as the play for a revival play, which was really good. And Jonathon Groff for Merrily We Roll Along won for Best Actor in a leading role in a musical, and he gave such a moving speech. I'm not sure if any of you saw it, but he said some really great things and talked about coming out. He said, "Thank you for letting me dress up," talking to his parents. "Thank you for letting me dress up as Mary Poppins when I was 3, for letting
Oh,
me act
love
out
him.
scenes from I Love Lucy on my 10th birthday. And thank you for always allowing my freak flag to fly without ever making me feel weird about it. Even if they didn't always understand me, my family knew the life-saving power of fanning the flame of a young person's passions without judgment." So I just love him anyways. So I loved him in Looking, and
Yeah.
he's just such a great actor. And so I'm very happy for him. And he's been tooting his horn that he's single and going to have his hot single summer. So congratulations to Jonathan. And I hope he finds some hot sex while he's at it too.
Yeah.
Um, well, we have to shout out to Marlon Wayons, who really wanted to just show his son, his trans son, that he supports him in this Pride Month. Well, Wayans shared an image from a Pride-themed photo shoot to Instagram, writing, "Happy Pride to all my LGBTQ plus peoples. I'm straight, well, according to my child, cisgender male. I just love and support my peoples." And he was pictured draped in a pride flag, looking really great. It was from a photo shoot that he had done before. And the post was liked 260,000 times, received almost 14,000 comments, including LGBTQ plus celebs like Janelle Monáe. However, and this is you'll hear what I'm talking about in a second. To be expected in this day and age, there were plenty of bigoted and negative replies as well, where one person said, "I'm the first to unfollow you and delete all of your movies on my Netflix." Another commented, "Disappointing." Others just had a lot of really nasty things. I think he lost so many followers, and
10,000.
he 10,000. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he says he doesn't give two fucks for what people think. And he says for people to be that homophobic reeks of repressed feelings, desires. Um, and a lot of people, he had some really cool, he just clapped back. And I think it was really great. I mean, I sent you this, Kodi. And when you heard this, what did you think of what Marlon Wayans basically posted for his child, but also his clapback?
I love it, and it aligns with what Jonathon Groff said about supporting your children, and no matter if you understand them or not. So I think that this is fantastic. I love Marlon Wayans; he's hilarious, and the photo shoot is so funny. It's so amazing, and I think that this is going to open minds and hearts. I know that a lot of people were saying that they would unfollow him and all this negative stuff, but other people are going to see this and look at Wayans as an example and open their minds more and love their kids more. And hopefully, this will lead to what is a small stepping stone to more supportive people and understanding of the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, it's interesting, Jeremy. He said, "I don't give zero fucks what people think. If I lost you, good. Your hateful ass never loved me in the first place." Some of you all funny. He just went on to say, "What do you think about what Marlon Wayans did and then his clapback?"
That's great. I love his response, and I think he's hilarious and obviously intelligent, and that's like awesome that he supports his child that much. And honestly, who cares about what anyone else thinks? And I think it's just sad and pathetic that there's still so much hate out there.
Yeah, it's interesting to think that, people think that trolling people or you followed him, but you don't like that he's supporting his child, by the way,
Yeah.
that you need to then go on the comment section and say that you're going to unfollow him and not, undownload all his movies he's ever made. It's like, really, ooh, you're really doing something. And it's like, let him be. He's supporting his child first and foremost. It would be awful if he didn't support his child. And I think him standing up, especially as a black man, supporting his trans son is so important
Hmm.
and what we need to see more of. And yeah, we don't need to see, get rid of those followers. They probably weren't supporting you in the first place.
Yeah,
Right.
and on the topic of the followers, somebody did the math. I think it was your friend Kevin on Instagram, and it's approximately 0.14% of his total following. So that to me shows that right that they're in the minority, but they're just the loudest people out there. So I think we should all keep that in mind, that to ignore the people that are in the minority of having open minds.
Absolutely. But good that he also makes it vocal too, that he had to say something because, what he says does make a difference. And I was reading a lot of the comments too. What he does say also impacts the fact that he clapped back like that, I think is very important to show that he's not going to dumb it down. He's going to continue supporting his son and the community. So kudos to him. Somebody else that I really love, and I can't wait for his album to drop, the new album, Omar Apollo. I'm such a huge fan of him. I just love him, his music, and his personality. I think he's really awesome. Omar Apollo hilariously shut down a hater who was shaming his femme side when Omar essentially another troller came after him. He was going to be a guest on the Stephen Colbert Tonight Show, or was. And he actually posted a video of him actually just kind of, queening out a little bit in a fun way. He had like a handbag and he put the handbag on and he was just acting really fun, I think. And he essentially, um, The Spite Singer posted about his upcoming talk show performance, Stephen Colbert Tonight. I look fab, he wrote in the accompanying video, posing with a large Goyard tote bag over his shoulder, his hands on his face. I mean, you should watch the video because it's really hilarious. And more hilarious, I think, is either his stylist or whoever's in the background going, "Yes, girl, yes." And it's just really hilarious. And while most replies were complimentary and excited for the performance, one user responded, "This is so unattractive. Just be a boy." Well, Apollo immediately responded minutes later, "I am a boy, you little faggy," he wrote,
Oh my god.
I know.
alongside a photoshopped image of the animated character Shrek, which is really hilarious. Um, oh my gosh. What kind of clapback do you think this is, Jeremy, when you hear this?
I think it's still funny and on point. I mean, it's kind of hilarious and I just love it.
Exactly. I mean, again, Cody's like, he doesn't give two fucks either about what anybody's saying. And he's such a good icon, I think, for the music industry today. What do you think? I mean, you're putting out music too. And I
Mhm.
mean, what do you think about Omar Apollo and what he's doing?
I think he's great. He's got his mind together, and he's learned to block out the haters. This is such an example. Him and Marlon are such an example of how to deal with these people. Because why would anybody even think to criticize somebody else for who they are, for their personality, for a piece of themselves that they're sharing with the world? That it's just ridiculous, and it mean to me that they have a small mind. They just need to just be quiet. Well, who cares what anybody else does? Worry about yourself, basically.
I agree. And staying on the same topic of people just coming for people that are out there homophobic wise, artistic swimming champ Dennis Gonzalez also clapped back at the anti gay jerks in his social media feed. Gonzalez had had enough of the rampant homophobia he faces as a man competing in artistic swimming. And if you're wondering what artistic swimming really is, think it's essentially synchronized swimming, if you will. You've probably seen that before, and I guess what they call it now is artistic swimming. The 20-year-old has won 3 gold medals at the European Championships, and a bunch of homophobes let him hear about it. Artistic swimming and synchronized swimming have for decades been regarded as a female sport, but Gonzalez took to TikTok to let him have it. Quote, "These people are people who have never won anything in their life. They don't know what discipline is. Work. They don't know what it is to be a European champion, what all this entails." And 3 gold medals for Gonzalez have come in the team technical, the men's solo technical, and the mixed duet for free events. I think he's fierce and giving it to them. He's won 9 gold medals, 12 silver, and 2 bronze. And he is not going to compete at the 2024 Paris Summer Olympics and going to focus on Los Angeles 2028. But I just think, kudos to him for really not, again, giving a fuck what people think. And that's the thing, Jeremy, right now. It's that everybody, more famous you get currently, the more out you are, it's like they really want to come for you. But this is the time now when I think you really have to kind of stand up and just put it out there. I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you have accolades like that, it's like it he sets such a high bar for an example, and it's like I love that he could care less what anyone thinks.
Exactly. I mean, Cody, when you hear this about, I mean, he's 20 years old, Spaniard, but really not caring what people think and educating people at the same time. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I think that this new generation really has it all together, and they're really learning from previous generations about what to accept and their boundaries. And I think that this is amazing. It sounds to me like he is focusing on his accolades and appreciating the people who are loving him. And I think that's the right way to go. So thank you for being a good example, all of you lovely men, and continue to being you and doing you.
Love it. Happy Pride to everybody. Absolutely. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit of health news because apparently doing this simple self exam now could help reduce your chances of developing anal cancer lately. I mean, we all know to check your scrotums for lumps and testicular cancer. Well, there's a new study suggesting that they could benefit from another sort of self exam as well. Anal cancer rates are higher amongst gay men than their straight counterparts, and it's due to queer men being more likely to develop anal warts caused by the HPV virus earlier in life. There's a known risk factor for this particular cancer, and being HIV positive and smoking can actually further those risks. Well, researchers are now basically suggesting to gay men to be encouraged to examine their asses with a finger to check for any lumps or lesions. And the scientists based in Wisconsin, Chicago, and Houston wanted to see if a group of higher risk of anal cancer might benefit from self exams. The Prevent Anal Cancer Help Patient study enrolled 714 gay and bi men and transgender women in Houston and Chicago, and this was between 20 and 22. And the results appeared in The Lancet. They were given 15 minutes of guidance on how to self exam the anal regions, which included the anal canal up the second joint of their index finger. Well, most anal cancers are not detected until tumors and lumps have reached an average of size of 3 centimeters or more and can result in more invasive treatments. But the earlier a cancerous lump is detected, the better. So, essentially, what are they saying? Well, what they're saying is to basically be aware, like when we were younger, I think all of us can agree, in the shower, especially when you were younger, feel around just your testicles and see if there's any lumps or anything, because obviously the sooner you catch this, the sooner you can prevent things like serious cancers. Well, they're saying the same thing with your ass too. Also, talk to your doctor or go to a specialist. Like, we've had Dr. Goldstein on the show several times. He does a thorough exam of this, but you can also do your own exam. And what are you looking for? Well, you're looking for any sort of abnormalities or lumps that could occur in that anal cavity. And I just think it's a good thing to be aware of as sexually active people, men, trans men, to be aware of these things. I mean, Jeremy, when you were younger, did you ever do the testicular test on yourself? And what do you think about this new, not warning, but to also add this into the mix for your anal region?
So I don't remember doing it on myself, but I do remember it with all of my physicals. And I think it's great that they are just bringing this to light and making it something that's important and that they believe people should be doing. And I think it's just always good to uh, know and be cautious and aware of what's going on all parts of your body.
Absolutely. And I think the conversation with your doctor, Kodi, is also equally important. And the good news is the earlier you find any of these things, so if you're doing this regularly, there's good news that you can eradicate this and, you know, be rid of any forms of cancer or developing more. But when you hear this, did you do the testicular exam? I mean, I did back in the day, just, and still
Mhm.
continue to, but I'm going to, and I see a proctologist, Dr. Goldstein, who does a yearly exam for me. So I'm kind of covered in that. But what do you think of these recommendations for people?
Yeah, I think first of all, I just want to say I have a dirty mind. So we were talking about, checking the anal region. I was like, oh, that sounds hot. Maybe I can do that with a boo.
I mean, you
um,
could play
I
doctor and have it
mean,
just, yeah.
let's play doctor, honey. Yeah, let's do that. I think this is great. I think that us putting the word out there is also something that could benefit people as well. So kudos to us. Thank you, Steve. And I think that this is like you and Jeremy. I get a yearly physical, but I think that if you do this self-examination, periodically, then it's something that could alert you in much sooner that something might be awry and that you should get checked out. So it's always good to get ahead of everything, and especially as gay men, because anal cancer is much more likely for gay men that have anal sex. So I think this is a good thing, and I always used to do the shower testicle thing because I don't know, maybe I'm a little hypochondriac too. I have a dirty mind and I'm a hypochondriac, so I just got all the issues.
All those things are good to, to be aware of and to be checking yourself. I think it just goes along with good fun to also then take care of yourself, to have a good rapport and open dialogue with your general practitioner, to have these conversations with your friends too. And if you want to play doctor like Kodi with your boo, to check these things out, do that too. But most importantly, just, check and don't ignore, which I think has always been part of men. And I used to be in that camp back in the day too. And now I've gone the other extreme. Like, I talk about everything and put it all out there. And I just think it's really good and healthy along with your sexuality. So yes. Okay. Well, let's get to Grindr, because Grindr revealed about what Grindr revealed about users in the country's gayest cities. This is going to be interesting because in a new 10-city data report, Grindr unveiled choice states about its user base in places like New York, San Francisco, New Orleans, and Phoenix. And while some of the revelations were predictable, so like, for example, New Yorkers reportedly lust after educated, bald-headed hunks who know their way around a gallery. Okay,
Hey,
that's
that's me.
interesting. According to the report, though, Los Angeles had the lowest average height out of all the cities. Interesting for the short population, I guess. Where Chicago, okay, Chicago earned a reputation for all talk and no action. Ah, as the app reported, Windy City users are most likely to have chat as their number one looking for option. And on the other hand, Phoenix was noted as a mecca for public play, but
Ooh.
not body hair. And Atlanta
Oh.
reported having an overwhelming supply of bubble butt bottoms.
Ooh.
Okay,
Atlanta? Let's
Georgia
go.
Peach. Yeah. The new study is part of the app's Grindr Rides America bus tour, and it's making stops in 10 cities for Pride Month. So far, Grindr has visited San Francisco, LA, Phoenix, New Orleans, revealing additional details on their Instagram account. So check more on that. Some more notable insights. The number one position in San Francisco is Verse Top. New Orleans' top kink is underwear. And LA
Ooh.
gays are typically looking for right now. Okay, that sounds about right. I mean, I know, Jeremy, I'm assuming you're not using Grindr anymore because you met your boyfriend. But
Mhm.
when you hear these, how much do you think these are accurate in these
I
city
mean,
choices?
I don't know. They sound like they are kind of all over the place, so I'm not sure that they're very finite statistics, but uh, I'm not using the apps, and when I was using the apps, I felt like everything on there is already questionable if you're even meeting like a real person, or like when you're talking to people that you talk to for ages and they're never actually looking to seriously meet up. So I don't know how much I would trust all of these statistics that they've gathered for each location, but maybe they're like a rough idea of the consensus in those areas.
A general pooling of the city.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it could be depressing if you were if what if you were in LA and you were looking for tall guys, and this study basically says that there's pretty much only short guys
Well, the
looking.
other thing I think about too is like all of the locations that you listed are a lot of like not hot spots, but places that people visit and vacation. So I would assume that
Oh,
the clientele is somewhat transient and it
yes.
would change all the time, not staying specifically as like a verse top area or a bubble bottom area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good point, Cody. Also, Jeremy. But Cody, it's interesting to Jeremy's point. These findings could be a little depressing if you were only looking at the apps. Wouldn't you find this a little bit depressing and not want to use the apps if you didn't like some of these findings, particularly in the city you happen to be in?
Well, I could see how it could be a little bit depressing and how it could discourage people from using the apps. But at the end of the day, if you're out there looking on the apps, I think that you know, uh, I think that you'll be able to find what you're looking for no matter what. Especially in these cities where there's such a large pooling of gays. I know that the old adage where they would say that in WeHo there's only bottoms and all this other kind of stuff. There's no tops there, but I'm pretty sure that if you go there and you can find what you're looking for at the end of the day. So just keep putting that line out there so you can catch that fish or dick.
Yeah. I think these make good conversation points, and I'm sure they're based on some stats that Grindr is using because they're not pulling it out of their ass. But I do think it also, take it with a grain of salt too, and keep looking. I mean, I do think as gay men, we have it. Yeah, I talked to a lot of my female friends, and many of them don't want to go to bars to pick up men. They're just so over it, and they only often can use apps. And then they're getting limited with Bumble putting their foot in their mouth recently for saying that, women should, you don't want to be celibate, which was ignoring a whole community of women that actually maybe were being, practicing no sex for a period of time. And so there's not that many options for women. And so I think we can go out, we've got cruise bars, we can put ourselves on the apps. And I think you just got to mix it all up. Take these with a grain of salt. They're fun if you happen to be in some of these cities to kind of do your own little test. But just like you said, Cody, keep putting it out there too. And realize also, like Jeremy said, that cities are transient. So maybe some of these numbers are skewing some of this.
Mm.
So, yes, exactly. I know we keep talking about speedos, but it keeps coming up, and
It's
the
summer.
latest is where in public is it appropriate to wear speedos? Gay guys have thoughts. This is a little bit slightly different from what we've been talking about. They wrote, walk into a grocery store in a t-shirt and board shorts, and you're unlikely to get much attention. But you walk into a store in a tee and a Speedo, you're bound to turn heads. And a recent Redditor thought they'd put this to the test and ask about it. Quote, today I saw a dude at the supermarket wearing a Speedo like it was regular shorts. He was wearing a t-shirt, sneakers, and a bright blue Speedo, a couple inches of his midriff showing, just going about his shopping like it was the most normal thing in the world at a fucking Food Lion. Okay, I don't know where Food Lion is, but I'm just gonna everybody put in their local supermarket and go with it. Some commenters said things like, men of bygone eras would wear scrote totes in public all the time. Quote, I have a vague recollection of seeing a few guys in stores wearing briefs, bathing suits with a button-down shirt and flip-flops back in the 70s, early 80s. Of course, that was the era of half shirts and short shorts. You know, Others were like, no, this is, somebody said, well, I'm from Europe and it's normal. You're lying on the beach in a Speedo, then you put on a tee and you go grab something to eat. Confirmed another user, I live in Italy. Speedos never went out of style. Everyone wears them, young, old, fat, thin. But I don't know. I think it's, if you have the courage to do it, I just can imagine in my local town in Northern California where I'm about to go to next week, if I went with my mom or something in a Speedo, she would like disown me immediately. And I just could imagine the looks on people's faces. Jeremy, what do you think? Is it ever appropriate to wear it to the grocery store?
No, absolutely not. And I think everyone knows that it's not. Like, just get some fucking shorts or pants on, really. Like, it's the last place that you need to wear a speedo, and I think anyone wearing it in a grocery store knows not to do it.
Exactly. I mean, unless you're Madonna shooting the sex book on the side of a road, trying to make a
And you
statement.
own gym shorts, so it's like just unnecessary.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do you want to see Speedos in the produce aisle, Cody, when
Yes.
you're trying to buy your vegetables?
My bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see a
You might
banana
grab
in
the
the
wrong
banana
banana.
aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Realistically, I want to say that I would never wear a Speedo into the grocery store. Like Jeremy was saying, I carry around, when I go to the beach and I'm in a Speedo, I wear shorts over top and I could just throw on the shorts because they're the ones that I have are easy to take on and take off. That sounds really dirty. They're easy access, the shorts that I own. But part of me wants to have the kind of world where it doesn't matter if you're wearing a Speedo in the grocery store, but I would not want to go down the frozen food aisle in a Speedo. It is cold
No.
in that.
Well, exactly.
So practically, it was not going to work out, but I want everybody to love their body. And I think that is, that's accepting yourself for who you are in your body. And people should not be ashamed of their body. But I don't know if I could do it. No.
Yeah, I'm a layered person. I always think like, am I going to be cold later? I always have like a certain baggy short. I might have the tidy speedos on below, but I like to, keep changing throughout the day. And I do think, yeah, no, I'm not going to wear. I see some people in Puerto Vallarta, though, running into grocery stores in the Zona Romantica all the time, running down the street. And I mean, I'm like, sure, when in Puerto Vallarta, sure, do you. But me, no, I will always cover up, but I will take it off at certain spots for sure. And I just think, yeah, I don't want to see that with my food at the same time. Exactly.
I don't
So
want to see that.
I don't want to see that, Valerie Cherish. Let's give some advice. We love to give advice on this show. You can always write in and ask us for advice. We'll give our handles at the end of the show. This person wrote, and Cody sent this over, I'm a very tall, muscular bottom, and I hate it. In our community, being a tall bottom often gets mixed reactions, to say the least. Standing at 6'7" and weighing 220 pounds, I understand I come across as a big, imposing guy. My active lifestyle, karate twice a week and CrossFit 3 times a week, only adds to that impression, and my physique just doesn't align with what I desire in my intimate life. Many tops are searching for shorter partners they can easily dominate or manhandle, and I fit that expectation in no way. Instead, I frequently find myself surrounded by twinks at clubs who dream of being dominated by someone like me. Expectations are a human trait, but they can be really exhausting when everyone expects the opposite of what you truly are. I'm not asking for help, nor do I need good words. I'm rather happy with my physique, just needed to vent. And Jeremy, when you hear this, he does not really not looking for advice. He's venting, like he said. But do you feel for him? And do you think that we do put tall guys into a certain box? And if you were to give him advice, what would you say?
I think that he should just keep an open mind and continue looking for the right guy. And I do think that uh, we often compartmentalize like your sexual position in bed with certain traits, and I don't think that they always align that way. And I think that you could be the most feminine and be a dominant top. You could be the most masculine and be a big old Nelly bottom. And I just don't feel like he needs to stay within the parameters of thinking just because he's super tall and fit that no one's going to top him. And I think that short tops are common and tall bottoms are common. And I think that, I don't know, I just think he should keep an open mind and be more optimistic about it.
I have to agree with you because I'm just thinking first thing that came to my head, and it was a neighbor that lived in my building. and he's very short. Kodi, I think you know who I'm talking about. And he often, or still does, I believe, likes all kinds of shapes and sizes, particularly taller than him. And he would love this guy and be all over it. And it had nothing to do. I mean, I don't think that intimidated him. My neighbor is a total top and really loved having bottoms that would be this height. And so I do agree with the open mind, because I do think, well, in general, I think we often put our hetero counterparts viewpoints that, the man is always the tall one, the woman is the shorter one, and we often put
Mhm.
that prototype onto our gay sexuality. And I don't think it's always true. I think there's some truthness to some of that, but I don't think we always fit that box. Thank goodness we don't, because it just opens the door to so many things. I also would say to him, and he's not asking for advice, but if he's happy being a bottom, I think that's great. But I've learned throughout my years, I've changed my sexuality throughout the years, and I'm open to, now I'm much more versatile and even top at these days than I ever was in previous years. And so that's another way to be open about it too, to be open to trying new things, but keep looking for what you want as well. Kodi, what's your advice to this person who doesn't really want our advice, but what would you even say to him?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Keep an open mind. Personally, from personal experience, I love to climb a mountain. So, me hooking up with this guy would be amazing, especially with that body. Oh wow, I would just go crazy. And also, dominance is a state of mind, just like submissiveness is a state of mind. Take me for example. In the streets, I am a Care Bear, but in the bed, I am a grizzly bear. So he's out there. The person that you are looking for, he might be a little bit shorter than you. Just keep an open mind, and be a submissive. Get dominated in that bed, babe. You'll be just fine.
Yeah, you bring up a good point too, because position is one thing, but position doesn't always mean dominance and submission either. Those two can be interchangeable. In other words, you
Hmm.
can be submissive and have a dominant and have a, you know, I mean, they don't have to be the same, and I think that's what's cool about sexuality is you can experiment and try new things, and it doesn't always align with dominant, submissive, and with top and bottom, and they can interchange, which is the beauty of sexuality. And why people always ask me, like, how do you find topics to keep the show going? I'm like, believe me, there are so many topics all the time, and people exploring their sexuality that keeps us talking about gay sex, which I think is so great. Let's stay on one more final piece of advice here. And this one was a Reddit thread where someone said, a guy was fucking me and choked me so hard and long I passed out. I woke to him still fucking me. I feel kind of violated, but I also told him to choke me. Who's in the wrong here? He literally didn't apologize or anything. We didn't have a safe word. Stupid on my part, I know, but I also was clearly struggling. I remember hitting his arms and hands, trying to get him to let go before I passed out, and he just kept doing it. When I woke back up, he was still just pounding and didn't say anything. He came shortly after, so I definitely think he got off on it. I don't know if I want to meet up with him again. The sex besides that was great. I also was the one who told him to choke me, so I feel like I'm kind of at fault. I don't know, man. This is a complicated one, but I do agree. Safe word, safe word, safe word. If you're doing more riskier BDSM moves or fetishes, I think really think about those things too. But on the other hand, Jeremy, when you hear this, I mean, this guy was pretty much struggling. Was he at fault or no?
I think I think it's on both of them. I think it takes two to tango, so I feel like they're both equally not communicating exactly like how far to take it or a boundary or anything like that. So I think that that is something that they both partook in, and they should probably think about it, like moving forward. They should just talk about that beforehand so that there is some sort of safe word or just discussion that they had before doing it. And I mean, I don't know. I think they're both at fault, and I think that to keep yourself safe, you need to explain where the boundary is so that someone can respect it, and you keep yourself safe, but they also like know where to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in many regards that they should take responsibility with it, and and the fact that he said the sex besides was great, and it almost sounds like they will do this again. So now instead of maybe beating yourself up, be happy that you're okay, and
Mm-hmm.
then start to have those conversations. And from here on out with other partners, if that is something that you really like, something that could really be detrimental to your health. I mean, Kodi, I was just watching this movie the other day. One night in, I stayed in and was watching a Polish movie. And a little known fact about me, I like obscure films sometimes. And I was with my friend, and he's like, "You like the weirdest movies." And it was subtitled and, like I said, set in Poland. But there was a scene where this guy was forcing himself on this girl and she was pushing him away. It was definitely rape, but
Yeah.
he literally, they were on the ground and he smacked her head by accident, but then and killed her. And it was awful. And he didn't mean to do that, but he did do that, and I mean, committed murder. And so, I mean, things like this is what would you recommend if you were into something that's maybe a little bit more riskier, still should encourage them to have the fun that they want to have, but my goodness.
Yeah, I mean I agree with Jeremy that mistakes were made on both parts, but for me personally, if you see somebody, because I've been known to choke. I was going to make a joke, but this is a serious topic, Kodi. I've been known to choke somebody before, but what you have to do is you cut off a little bit of their circulation on the side. You don't actually block off their esophagus or anything like that. You choke them on the sides of their neck, and that still gives them a head rush. But it's very dangerous, so I don't recommend it unless you have actually practiced it a little bit. So make sure that you are being safe out there. But I do, if I were to see somebody passing out, that would I wouldn't even let it get to
Right.
that level. So when you see that someone is not conscious anymore, that should tell you to stop. So I think that the person that was doing the choking is absolutely 100% at fault. They have been this person that was being choked has been violated, and they should never meet up with this person again because they sound like uh, a psycho basically. So I think that this is not a good thing, and people should really be aware of who they are actually getting into bed with. This should have been a discussion beforehand, like Jeremy said, and you should know the person that you are doing these more riskier uh, sex acts with, because it could go awry very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key word is because we all know that it's easier said than done sometimes.
True.
And I think, moving forward, if they wanted to, I think the key word here is safe word, and get that going a little bit more, or read the room a little bit more too. I would also say too, well, we might have a safe word. Also, we're new to this. So, you can say, I'm new to this too. And so, if I'm giving you some cues, like, read them. And also, I would just say, please don't kill me.
Oh
Whatever you do.
no, girl!
I mean, just read, well, I want to have fun. It's
I
like,
was not expecting
yeah,
that.
why don't I just go for the basic. When in doubt, don't kill me. They always say that about a baby, like new parents. Your job half the time is not to kill the baby. My job, the father or the other parent, is to not kill the baby too. That's our job.
I, you're the daddy now. I see
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Well,
daddy.
exactly. Yeah. Don't kill your partner. partner. That's our
That's
PSA.
wild.
Yeah, I know, but these are some times here that we're talking. Oh my goodness, always so fun, always great in this Pride season, especially. You can always follow my co-host. You can follow Jeremy on Instagram at jrosslopez, and see his boyfriend there too. Super cool, love it. Follow Kodi. He's a life coach at KMD Coaching, or his personal account at Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. Or go to my Twitter account where you get previews of my Just for Fans, OnlyFans at TAGSPodcast. We are live Wednesday. As soon as I get back into the States again, going to be happy to be back. And guys, thank you so much. And in the meantime, continue having hot, gay sex. Yeah.